the main event.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the main event, Mark's Podcast. I'm your co-host, former radio reporter, lifelong wrestling fan, figure collector, and father of 6 cats. I'm Troy Adams. And joining me today is coffee lover, figure hunter, and he is the WWE walking wrestling encyclopedia. He is the Diego de my Fernando. He's Greg. What's up, man?
Ole!
The son, one of the sons and the nephew of Carlos Colon were saddled with matador gimmicks, wearing masks.
Look, you may find this hard to believe, but I didn't hate that. I thought it was fun in a way. It was stupid but fun, if that makes sense.
It was a little fun. I thought El Torito was funny as hell, even though, believe it or not, for people who don't know anything about lucha, and I know you don't really, but I know here in the States, little people wrestling, I'll try to be sensitive, is considered like, look at that, it's funny. In Mexico, that's a draw. And El Torito is actually like one of the biggest little people wrestlers in, I know I just made a pun, but he's one of the most famous little people wrestlers in all of Mexico. And he was a big deal. I actually, for as much crap as I just talked on the gimmick, I have a Mattel version of Los Matadores. So I do not have
I think
Torito.
The whole thing was obviously dumb, but man, they're really good. So I liked them, and I didn't hate the team because I thought they were both really good wrestlers.
Not to nitpick, but like one thing that ticked some people off, they were like, they're Puerto Rican. Matadors are Mexican.
Yeah, I caught that right away, but then I'm like, whatever. It's Latin.
I know. Well,
I don't care, honestly.
You and I, as Americans, don't care. I will tell you for a fact, Mexicans were not very happy.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get into that. I have Mexican ancestors, but I don't know how they feel, and I don't, I'm not going to get into that. So
yeah, but we are officially in August, man, and that means SummerSlam month. I'm very excited about this. I know you're a little less excited because you don't get to go again this year.
I was so pumped to go to Boston, man. I
know, yeah. And then they pulled the cord at the last minute. It was like, nope, we're having it at the PC with no fans. So I don't know. I'm not exactly happy about it. It's going to be. I've settled into the fact that for the rest of the year, we're going to see, all the big shows happen at the Performance Center and Daly's Place. I've already settled into that in my mind. I mean, are you kind of thinking the same thing?
Pretty much, yeah.
And it's sad.
I don't see an end to this thing in sight right now.
I mean, I'm hoping fans will be allowed at football games and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, I'm hoping that for a few reasons, but
right, yeah. If fans are not allowed at football games, I see a shortened season. But
they've already taken away preseason essentially, so
yeah,
already happened. So
they could take away more even. So you never know.
I guarantee you they're not taking away more. They're just no one's going to be there. NFL's not going to do that.
I hope so.
I'd bet my life on.
Yeah, and hopefully by the time the Super Bowl rolls around, we can have things somewhat back to normal. Even if you have to wear masks, whatever. At least have fans in the stands. But something that we were in attendance for was this event we're covering today. It's SummerSlam 2015. You and I both have been very excited to talk about this. You said you watched it back twice. I will admit, I just watched it for the first time back this week.
First time in a long time.
Yeah, since we have been there in 2015, I never watched it. Not because of anything, I loved the show, by the way. For my first pay-per-view ever, what a hell of a way to start, man. I absolutely love the show, top to bottom. The only thing, I just never watched it back, because I don't know why I do that. Every time I go to a show, I'm like, I've seen it.
I've actually stopped watching them back before, a long time ago. I used to immediately go back and watch it.
Yeah. This one took place in Brooklyn, New York. We'll talk about all that. You and I spent a week in New York. We did a lot of figure hunting. We went to a bunch of comic stores. We checked out quite a few restaurants. It was
and then every cliche New York thing ever we did too. So.
Oh yeah, all the touristy stuff. It was a great time. We ate in Little Italy. We ate in Chinatown. for all of you out there, there were some things in New York we did for figure hunters you can't do that we did, like the amazing, I got pictures of it, the amazing Toys R Us in Times Square is now no more. It was amazing.
If I had a hat on, I would take it off and put it over my heart. I am that hurt.
It was an awesome store in so many ways. That was where we saw some figure swapping, though, they put a Jakks Pacific.
That was my first ever figure swaps in person, actually, or seeing it. I don't do that. Hold on, I got to reword that. That was the first time ever seeing that in person.
Right. Yeah, it was nuts. They took a Jakks Pacific John Morrison and somehow squeezed it into the Mattel John Morrison box. I was like, what the hell is this? It was weird. And we were like, how did they get? Okay. But we did buy quite a few figures. We went to other Toys R Us's around the area, which obviously are no more. So there's more things there. Tons of cool comic stores. I can't remember the one. There's like multiple branches of the store around New York. Midtown. Okay. Midtown Comics. If you're ever in New York, check out all of their locations, if at all possible.
The one in Times Square, probably the best.
Oh, yeah. Lots of fun memories. Some not so fun memories we got to get into, though. And some of these were, I'll be honest, a lot of the news that I compiled before this is not good stuff that happened leading up to SummerSlam. But we'll get into that.
We'll return after these messages. Now, back to our program.
First thing, man, getting into the news and notes. Roddy Piper passed away at his Hollywood home in his sleep on July 30th at the age of 61.
Yeah, that was rough.
That one, yeah, that one hurt me deeply. There are a few wrestling deaths. I mean, they all kind of upset me if it's somebody that I knew and loved, growing up. But Roddy Piper, man, I always loved Roddy Piper, and that one hurt. And if you go back and listen to Bruce Pritchard's podcast talking about it, it's rough for him to get through because he was so close with Piper. And I think we were talking about it off air. You were at the dedication Raw to him.
Yeah, I was in San Jose. It was weird, man. Because like in March that year, WrestleMania was in Silicon Valley, and we got to meet Piper outside of his hotel. We were walking. I still have the picture. And he was coming out of his hotel, just shaking everyone's hands, and we were like, my brother and I were on our way to Access, and you just saw a big crowd. We're like, oh, it's got to be somebody, right? Because WrestleMania's in town, and it was him.
Wow.
And then a couple months later, in August, we go to a show, not knowing that this was what it was going to be to open the show.
Wow, yeah.
And
he died on, so that show I would assume is August 3rd, which was Monday after.
This was really early. I was really stoked because like the first time ever, I was going like a couple of Raws in 1 month. But, kind of brought me down, obviously. But
right, yeah, that was a bad one. 61 is in my opinion, is way too young to pass away. And I think he just had a heart attack and died. He was never known as like a drug abuser or a steroid taker or anything like that. So I don't know. Taking bumps for, decades and decades, I guess, catches up with you sometimes, especially depending on your body chemistry and everything. Somebody who did kick out, though, from his issues, former Mid-Atlantic, WCW, and Smoky Mountain announcer Bob Caudle, then in his late 80s, was hospitalized this month after a fall and missed the Mid-Atlantic convention in Charlotte. So as far as I know, I think Bob Caudle is still with us, isn't he?
I don't know, honestly, off the top of my head.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm pretty sure he is. It looks like he's still alive. I mean, if he was in his late 80s, I mean, he's obviously in his 90s now. JR talks about him fondly a lot on his podcast. So he said, there could never be a nicer guy than Bob Caudle. He said he's always just in a cheery mood. He never complained. And I don't know about you, man. I always, even if he, as far as like quality wasn't always like amazing, I always loved his voice. I thought he was a great announcer.
I liked him only because he was like one of the voices of my childhood. So
yeah, I mean, looking back, he wasn't like great, but it's kind of one of them where I think like him and Lance Russell are the two when I like, even if they're not amazing, and I think Lance was great, but just their voices, it's like, oh man, that's what an announcer sounds like, And same thing with Gorilla Monsoon. Even if people crap on his commentary, whatever.
I don't know why, but
He said some silly crap, but I mean, it's sports entertainment, so yeah, it's sports
like slobber knocker makes sense.
Hey, man, I guess that's a Southern thing. I don't know. Hey, silly is a pet coon. All right. Here's another one. It's a lot of like medical stories. This one is maybe worse just because of everything surrounding it. Jimmy Snuka, 72, actually got back from the hospital on the day that Roddy Piper died after undergoing stomach surgery due to stomach cancer. Snuka had part of his stomach as well as his lymph nodes removed. According to an interview with his wife, Carol, she did an interview with Bill Apter. If anybody remembers Bill Apter, he was like one of the first like respected wrestling journalists, I guess, and photographers and stuff. Doctors believe that they were able to remove all of the cancer. I don't think they did, actually, or if they did, it came back, right? Because didn't he eventually die from that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Regarding the investigation of Snuka for the death of Nancy Argentino in 1983, the grand jury of Lehigh County in Pennsylvania's investigation ended during this time as well. Eventually, I mean, they talk about it on Dark Side of the Ring, if any of you have seen that episode of
amazing series, by the way.
Absolutely. We pump it up a lot on here. I think Jimmy Snuka was found guilty, wasn't he?
I think so, like right before he died.
Yeah, they found him guilty, but they said he had dementia and he was dying of stomach cancer, so they just let him live out the rest of his life because he was about to die anyway. Bad stuff, man. And more bad stuff. You and I specifically remember this for one reason in New York that we'll get to here in a moment. Lawyers for Hulk Hogan filed a request in a St. Petersburg, Florida court on July 30th to conduct an investigation of a potential violation of a protective order regarding the tape transcript leaked to Radar Online and the National Enquirer for their series of stories. Hogan's lawyers said that they wanted to prove that Gawker, whom Hogan is suing, violated the court order by leaking the transcripts of the tapes and ruining Hogan's career and potentially ruining his right to a fair trial, claiming that Gawker wanted the stuff to get out and being desperate to counter negative publicity. So basically, Hogan was suing Gawker because they released a sex tape of him and Bubba the Love Sponge's ex-wife. If any of you don't know who Bubba the Love Sponge is, consider yourself lucky.
Awesome Kong knows who he is.
Oh, I'm sure she does. And if you ever listen to Eric Bischoff's podcast, he has nothing nice to say about him.
He said he wanted to buy Awesome Kong dinner when she beat the hell out of him.
Yeah, that was great. But yeah, so apparently Bubba, this is all of them are scummy in this, but apparently Bubba set it up for Hogan to sleep with his wife at the time, and unbeknownst to Hogan, he set up a camera in the bedroom to record them doing the deed. Well, he released it, or I guess Gawker got their hands on it, I assume through Bubba the Love Sponge, and released it. So Hogan was suing, and then to counter the suit and to put out negative publicity, Gawker put out that infamous tape of Hogan just going on a racist rant, dropping the N-word and everything else. So there's that. And obviously people are still pretty sore about it. Not saying they don't deserve to be, especially if they were offended. You know, everybody, I'm not going to tell somebody they cannot be offended. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I still love Hogan as a performer. As a person, I don't know him, and I don't know his heart. That wasn't a good look, brother. But I don't know. But I will say this, you and I laughed because I have a Hulkamania t-shirt. I didn't think about it because I don't think about this stuff. And I wore it around Brooklyn, and we were checking out at a CVS close to Times Square. And
the famous one in the middle of Times Square. That's what it was.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, and we were checking out, and the guy behind the counter was black. And again, I'm not thinking about it, but he points at my shirt. It's like, cool shirt. And he talks about he loves Hogan. And you and I were like, well, apparently not everybody's pissed at him.
Right? I don't excuse it. I think that people are like, it was ignorant to say.
Yeah.
Look, honestly, if the guy was racist, he wouldn't have done stuff with Rodman and Mr. T and Shaq. You know.
Yeah,
it. Stupid to say.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I have my own feelings and opinions and everything on this matter. I don't know. Like I said, I've never thought Hogan was racist. judging by his past, but not excusing it again.
Racism doesn't work for me, brother.
No. Furthering on with that, Nick Ritchie, the publisher of TheDirt.com, who listened to what was said on all the sex tapes, said that besides the Hogan's usage of the N-word being dubbed over the tapes, they also dubbed over Hogan's bad-mouthing of then-wife Linda and blaming her for, quote, effing up my MTV show. The Enquirer described...
Wait, what MTV show?
Hogan Knows Best. Or was that VH1?
Well, it was VH1. I guess it's the same thing. I thought there was something missing. Okay.
Hogan probably is like, whatever, it's music video television, brother.
It's money, brother.
Yeah, all I see is green. But the Enquirer
apparently not.
The Enquirer's description of how everything went down is that they contacted Hogan on July 23rd and asked for a comment on the story that they were about to break. They said that Hogan, not them, alerted WWE, and WWE immediately ordered everything related to Hogan be taken off the website. They even took out his bronze statue. They went on full-on blackout mode with, pardon the pun, with Hulk Hogan.
I didn't like it, man, but I got it. Like, when you have a board of directors to answer to, and you got sponsors and everything. Yeah. As much as I love Hogan, sorry, some things are a lot bigger than just that.
Yeah, so, it was...
I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
It was rough, man. And then they brought him back in, of all places, Saudi frickin' Arabia. That one was...
Well, I'm pretty sure they agree with those views over there.
Holy crap. Quickly moving on.
Am I wrong?
I don't know. I'm moving on. Tammy Sitch was actually arrested 3 times, not once in recent months in the Pennsylvania area that she was living. The first time was the 5, that's May, right? May 30th incident that was reported where she parked in front of a Walmart, hit the curb, failed the field sobriety test, and had a blood alcohol content of 0.253, which is more than triple the legal limit. She was then charged. She was then charged with 2 counts of driving under the influence and 1 each for driving with a suspended license and another for careless driving. She was also stopped 2 days later and was stopped a 3rd time after getting into a car crash on June 20th.
How can someone get in that much trouble in that
within a span of a month? Yeah. Wow. And then she eventually went to prison, as we all know. She was recently released. And what did she do upon release? Everybody's like, give Sonny a chance, whatever. She's trying to make good. She's making her own porn again, which, yuck. And then what does she do right after that? She goes on a bunch of racist rants on Twitter.
I'm starting to see a bad theme to this show.
Lots of racism. Well, we're not done. We got one more, Greg.
Good Lord.
And we got one more involving porn, too. So hold on to your knickers. First involving racism.
Can we, just put a PSA out there? We don't endorse any of this. I think it's clear.
Absolutely not.
I think it's clear, but we need to make it clear.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot, okay?
There is. Here's the one involving racism. Seth Rollins' girlfriend at the time was fired from WWE for having pictures online showing off her Nazi memorabilia around her home, and then basically saying that she had Nazi views. And she was not going to apologize for having the Nazi stuff. That woman, by the way, you and I saw her at the Hall of Fame in 2018, and she
was the one with Sonya, right?
Yeah, she was dating Sonya Deville, and you and I were both like, what?
How can somebody that's so, pro-gay rights, obviously she is because Sonya's gay, but someone that's so pro-gay rights be with a person who's a Nazi sympathizer? I just don't see that.
I don't know, man. That one doesn't work for me, brother.
Good Lord, man. Honestly, and I don't think anybody should ever be ranking racism things, but
no.
I think sympathizing with Nazis may rank right near the top of the worst you can get. I'm almost certain.
Yeah, that's up there. That's going for the gold. I'll say that. Here's the last thing involving porn, sort of. This one made me laugh at the time.
Hope no kids are listening.
I don't know if you remember this one. The WWE debuted the name The Submission Sorority for Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Paige on Raw, but
good grief, I forgot about that.
That was short-lived, as the company didn't do their research and quickly found out that it was the name of a porn website. And they found out because that porn website thanked them on social media for getting them so many hits within the last few days.
We're just going to overlook the whole page thing too, right? I mean, I'd rather not even.
Oh gosh, I'm not touching that one. What's not funny about this was they're like, oh, well, thanks for getting us so many hits in the last few days. How many children looked up this group and then found porn? That's the thing that's disturbing to me.
Well, here's my thing. I'm like, what kid is going to hear that and like, I want to look that up?
I mean, there are little girls that are,
I think kids I know, I'm like, I don't think any one of them is ever going to, hey, Dad, let me use your phone or computer so I can look up submission sorority on Google. I mean, I see your point.
They might have been looking up, because like if a little girl, they're like, oh, I love Becky Lynch or I love Charlotte or something. I'm going to go look them up online, their new group, whatever. And what's their group called? And they type it in, and then boom, porn.
Well, wasn't that Triple H's reasoning for keeping China out of the Hall of Fame for a long time?
Was the porn thing? Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I guess there are reasons, are legit ones, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I was like, I think it was Pritchard was talking about JR when that's something that they talk about in the WWE interview, and Conrad was just tickled with the fact that JR is having to sit there and ask people. It's like, hey, well, we just need to know right up front. We don't want to be promoting WrestleMania in the main event, and then all of a sudden, hey, here's a picture of your ding dong. That did make me laugh. I will say that. That's why, because they were talking about Seth Rollins getting pictures leaked by the Nazi sympathizer chick, by the way.
I don't see a correlation.
None at all. This was also around the time, by the way, Cena under John Cena. God dang it, pal. Full name. Government name.
There's only one.
Well,
it's not like you said Smith.
That's true. John Cena underwent surgery on July 28th for a broken nose suffered in a match the night before in Oklahoma City against Seth Rollins.
You can't see knees.
Yeah, sorry, the way the nose was broken affected his breathing, and he just freaking obliterated Cena's nose with that jumping knee. Boy, it was bad, dude. And yes, I bought that shirt going into SummerSlam that said, "You can't see knee." One of my favorite shirts to this day. And
he's a huge Seth guy, by the way. I don't know if anyone realized that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was big into Tyler Black, so here's some positive news. Finally, at the end.
I don't see what was not positive about all the porn and racism, but whatever.
What the hell? WWE promoted John Cena's granting the 500th wish, which will actually take place on Monday before Raw at the Barclays Center. Since the founding of Make-A-Wish in 1980, no other celebrity has granted the number of wishes as John Cena.
That is crazy to me.
I know, right?
We were, forgive my math, 35 years into it here?
Yeah.
Good Lord, man.
I know. And John frickin' Cena. Not Hulk Hogan, not Michael Jordan.
I'd even say at this point, at that point, even right now, like you could throw like LeBron James in there, or like some big names.
Yeah. Cena still holds the crown.
I'm going through puberty on the podcast, so I don't know my voice cracked. It's crazy though.
Yeah, it really is nuts to think about John Cena. And you and I. Well, I don't know if you've ever cared if he's babyface or heel or not. I know me and others have always said, it would be cool to see a legit heel run out of Cena, but stuff like this, why it never happened, man. He said he never wanted to be heel. McMahon never wanted him to be heel for his merchandise sales and the Make-A-Wish stuff. So
clearly when you see stuff like that, you think back to 06, 07, 08, 09, and people are quote getting burned out on them, and you were hearing the crowds. That just tells me that tells me that means nothing. What you hear in the arena is what you're not, is what's, there's so much more love for him that's not in that arena that night. That's what that tells me.
Right, yeah. And the adult fans are more vocal, I would say. But, parents were buying Cena merch up like crazy for their kids. Little kids don't have money, but their parents do. Parents are the ones buying this stuff up.
Oh, little kids have loud ass mouths, though.
Yeah, that's true. Good stuff for Cena. I remember Daniel Bryan, I think, was doing a Make-A-Wish in Dave & Buster's in Times Square.
Yeah, that's right.
What, was that before SummerSlam or?
It was before NXT. No, I think it was like on a Friday because we were there at night.
That's right.
We were there at night. So, but we saw Stephanie McMahon there too. Remember?
Yeah, and I got a picture of her posing for a picture.
TJ was perving a dish.
Yeah, a little bit. But we went up there, because you have to go up an escalator. It's like on the second floor or whatever. And we went up there and we were going to go to Dave & Buster's and they had it all blocked off. We were like, what the hell? And couldn't find out it was a Make-A-Wish thing. And Daniel Bryan was going to be there. Stephanie McMahon was posing for pictures. So that was pretty cool. But yeah.
I'm sitting there like, Stephanie's here. Where the hell's Triple H? I got to see him. But he was not there.
Yeah.
I was heartbroken.
Yeah, this little nerd over here. Tickets to the public for WWE SummerSlam on August 23rd at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn sold out immediately. Virtually all tickets had been sold via pre-sale. Did you do pre-sale?
I did, yeah. The moment you said we were going, I was like, yep, we're on it.
Yeah, because I remember you asked me, you're like, you want to go to SummerSlam? I was like, I can't afford those tickets right now. You're like, I just asked if you wanted to go. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, then yes. And yeah, so we did that, and I wasn't expecting to do TakeOver the night before, but when they announced it, you're like,
we didn't know that until it's funny because I just saw the memory on Facebook. We didn't know that until late June, early July.
Right, and I remember Kevin Owens' scathing promo in Full Sail when they booed when he was talking about TakeOver in Brooklyn. They booed and said we deserve it and whatever.
We got them back.
Yeah, well. Yeah, because all of Brooklyn chanted Full Sail sucks during the show. So that was cool.
You can hear it. I believe it's very audible during the Liger Breeze match.
Yeah, and they sold out the Barclays for that show. But no, put it in dinky little Full Sail where, people don't really have to pay for their tickets. Like, yeah, that makes sense. And don't get them national exposure. Whatever. Last story I have, this was the first since 2008 to be held at SummerSlam, that is, pal. God dang it, pronouns.
Is that a pronoun? Is that a noun?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's a name, so it's a pronoun. But it was the first SummerSlam since 2008 to be held outside of Los Angeles, as the Staples Center was the exclusive home for SummerSlam from 2009 to 2014, and the 8th SummerSlam to be held in the New York metropolitan area. The Izod Center was originally supposed to host SummerSlam, but due to its closure in April of 2015, the event was moved to the Barclays Center. I think that was best.
Yeah, because the Izod Center is a pain in the ass to get to, or it was, because it's right next to where the Giants and Jets play. And
ooh,
I don't want to go over my WrestleMania 35, post-WrestleMania 35 travel experience, but let's just say this is better.
So it was in New Jersey?
Yeah.
Ew. Yeah, you and I didn't go to New Jersey, so I'm just putting that out there. All right, man.
By the way, any Jersey people listening to this, that was not me. I've been there a couple times now.
Yes, but you didn't have anything positive to say about it.
I'm not saying anything negative.
You did? Anyway, moving on. I will say this.
It smelled like crap everywhere. I never said that.
I did. The one thing I did want to go to New Jersey for was where they do Comic Book Men, that store, Secret Stash.
I've been there, actually. Yeah. My very first trip to New York.
Yeah, screw you.
My very first day in New York, we drove there.
The only reason we didn't do it was because it was a long drive, and you and I were walking it everywhere, so...
We'll return after these messages. Now, back to our program.
All right, man, time to get into the actual event itself. If you haven't noticed, this show might run a little long because there's a lot to get into here, but we'll try to keep it short and succinct as much as possible. WWE SummerSlam 2015, date August 23rd, 2015, for the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. The attendance was 15,702. And the pay-per-view buy rate, excluding network buys, was 121,000.
Real quick, that is, like, why are you paying $65, $70 for a pay-per-view? Are you paying $10 for the network? I'm still baffled by that.
Well, it was explained by a couple people. They said, well, you got to think in some areas, like, their internet couldn't handle all the streaming very well. And it was still in the early days of the network and all that. So a lot of people,
like the network runs at 4K.
Yeah. But some people just don't have good internet at all. Me, where I live now, I have AT&T U-verse, not to call them out, but it absolutely sucks. Yeah, it absolutely sucks, and I'm lucky if I can stream Netflix, on this. So, online gaming is glitchy. So, it's stuff like that. So a lot of people back in 2015 still didn't have great internet. So this was still people doing that. Plus the fact that Eric Bischoff talked about, I think it was him that talked about it. It's like, some people that's just a creature of habit. They're like, they don't think about ordering it beforehand. They're just like, oh, isn't the WWE running a pay-per-view tonight? Yeah, it's on my TV, order. So you got to think about that kind of stuff too. But yeah, financially wise, it doesn't make sense. I will say that. But the show opens with, I forgot about this detail, but it was a major one, so I don't know why I forgot about it. Jon Stewart welcomes us to the show. He's the host of SummerSlam.
Are we going to just overlook the fact that a Demi Lovato song opened this show?
Yeah, they picked Cool for the Summer, which was a popular song at the time, very popular song at the time. Demi Lovato was very hot in more ways than one. And
okay.
What is, whatever, But she's in my Fave 5, dog. But anyway, this song, it's like, I feel like they were like, it's popular and it has the word summer in it. Let's put it on the show. It's like, ew. Like, you think of all the big, cool songs they've opened up shows with in WWE history. Demi effing Lovato. I felt a little weird when we're like getting pumped up. They're like, welcome to SummerSlam. And then they start playing Demi Lovato. And I was just kind of like, this is a memory I'll have forever. But Stewart welcomes us to the show, and he pumps up WWE and how much he's always loved it and been a fan. He respects the wrestlers. He then says that he needs backup because he's going to interview Brock Lesnar, and he brings out the hardcore legend Mick Foley. And Foley comes out. I popped because I've never seen Foley live, so that was a bucket list item for me. Mick comes out and says that he thought that John, he misunderstood him on the phone. He said he thought he wanted him to interview Brock, not Brock. And he said and Stewart was like, well, you're the guy that got thrown through the cell or whatever. And he was like, yes, that was almost 20 years ago. So he went off on him and said, he informs the former Daily Show host, he's like, you're on your own. And he takes off. But it was cool to see Mick, come out and, just for a moment there, because we don't see him anymore on the show. But
well, he made the drive in from Long Island, which is like spitting distance away, right?
Right, yeah. It's like, who's in New York? Mick Foley. God dang it, get him to the show. And the weird thing was, I didn't think about this until I was watching. He was at the next SummerSlam as well as the general manager of Raw.
Ah, that's right.
Unveiling that ugly-ass Universal title and getting
Don't worry,
booed.
I was there too. We gave it hell.
Yeah, I know you did. But the first match of the show was Randy Orton versus Sheamus. This match went for 12 minutes, 13 seconds. The finale of the match is Sheamus missing a brogue kick, Orton going for the RKO and getting shoved off, and then Sheamus nails a brogue kick. Orton bounces off the corner, comes back, gets another brogue kick, and Sheamus wins. Uncle Dave said, quote, good match. Kind of a surprise how clean Sheamus went over, and he got the pin with 2 brogue kicks after escaping an RKO. Not as good as their last pay-per-view match. I gave it 2.5 stars. Uncle Dave gave it 3. What do you say?
Right below you guys, I said 2. Thought it was okay.
You thought it was below average?
I thought it was just okay.
Yeah, I thought it was really well worked. I'm not the biggest Randy Orton fan in the world. I like Sheamus.
I'm a huge fan of both these guys, and that's probably why I was like, oh, it could have been better.
Yeah, I don't really remember what their pay-per-view match was before this, so I didn't really have that to go off of. And this was the match, you and I laughed because Sheamus gets on the mic and he's like, respect the Hawk! And then when Sheamus wins at the end, the crowd's booing, you and I are going crazy. We're like, yeah, Sheamus! And then a certain person that you and I know was absolutely furious that Orton got beat, especially clean, and said, makes no sense. I'm like, makes sense. It makes all the sense in the world to me.
More now.
Right? After this, man, this was kind of weird just because of where we are today. But the New Day comes out as heels, and they say that New York is filthy and disgusting, and they know nothing about hip-hop because it originated in the South. And then
I gotta point out something. I don't know if you remember, but they did a parody of that song in New York from Jay-Z and Alicia Keys, but it's cut off.
Yes.
If you notice. And I forgot about that.
Oh, did they cut it off the network?
When I watched it, they did.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Because I was watching it on Daily Motion, so that's why I saw it.
Okay, yeah, it's off the network. Yeah.
Wow, that surprises me because it's a parody. Why would they need to cut that off the network?
I don't know.
You can't get sued for parodies. Just ask Weird Al Yankovic
or the BWO.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, this one. Yeah, because they did. I wrote here they did a rendition of New York by New York by Alicia Keys and Jay-Z, and my favorite line was Big E saying, "All them other tag teams are booty."
I feel like this was the debut of Booty.
Yeah, it was around this time, yeah. And then the next night on Raw, they come out with Xavier playing the trombone, and they do New York by Frank Sinatra. But yeah, they changed it from New York to New Day. So here's where I said in my notes. I said it's very weird to see the New Day as heels. But
for me, it's weird seeing Kofi as a heel.
Yeah, that one's a little odd because he's always been a babyface until this. Xavier Woods, kind of similar. He was never really a heel. Big E was a heel up until the New Day turned face. Like, up until then, he had always been... Well, I take that back. He was a babyface in NXT when he was a champion, I believe. Regardless, this next match is the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Big E representing the New Day. They are the WWE Tag-Team Champions, back when they only had the penny belts. It was just the black strap with the copper-looking plate. They are taking on the Lucha Dragons.
Now they got nickel belts.
Yeah, they upgraded.
They're getting more expensive.
Yeah. Well, since they upgraded on the plating, they had to downgrade on the leather. So now they've got that little toy leather crap that's red and blue. Yeah, it's a New Day taking on the Lucha Dragons, Sin Cara and Kalisto. I have a picture with Sin Cara. I don't know if you remember that from WrestleMania Access.
I do. I have that too. And a picture with Jason Jordan and Broski.
Nice. Oh, yeah, I got one with Broski, yeah.
That was in the chamber.
Hell yeah. They're taking on Los Matadores, Diego and Fernando. They have El Torito in their corner. And the final team are the Primetime Players, Titus O'Neil and Darren Young. The only person in this entire match, okay, two people, I do not have figures of are Kalisto and El Torito. I have Los Matadores. I have all three members of the New Day in multiple iterations. I have Sin Cara, not this Sin Cara, the old Sin Cara. And I have the Primetime Players. I don't know. I still need that Kalisto, man. I'll have this whole match. But this match went on for 11 minutes. Yeah, screw you. This match went on for 11 minutes, 22 seconds. Uncle Dave said, the New Day sang before the match and got over huge as faces with the fans chanting New Day rocks when it was over. Do you think this is when the turn really started, when the crowd was like, nah, you're baby faces?
I think it was starting.
Yeah. Because the New York was like, we're not going to boo you. We're just not. I remember I was getting into them at this time. You and I both, I think. And some of the crowd, when they would do the New Day rocks, the crowd would chant New Day sucks.
Yeah.
Well, it was only a fraction of them, but most of the crowd was loudly chanting New Day rocks. So.
And why wouldn't they?
Yeah, and this was the time when they started really getting over as baby faces and people rejected them as heels, which is the opposite of John Cena. But anyway.
Like Becky Lynch, too.
Yeah, that too. I remember when she supposedly had her big heel turn and she got cheered like a god.
Oh, yeah. I was there it was at SummerSlam, same building. A couple years later, I was there with Ramon, and yep, I was going crazy for beating the hell out of Charlotte.
I don't know why the WWE thought this will get her over as a big nasty heel. Like, nah, they're going to love her. But this match, I thought, was an entertaining car crash. The crowd was hot for everything. In the end, Titus O'Neil nailed the Clash with the Titus on one of the Matadors, I don't know which. But Kofi kicked Titus right in the face, pushed him out of the ring, and then Big E pushed Titus out of the ring, and Kofi pinned the Matador for the win. Uncle Dave really liked this. He gave it 3 1/4 star. I gave it an even 3. What say you?
I gave it a 3. I forgot how much I enjoyed it. And also, watching it back, I forgot how over the Primetime Players were.
I know, right? Like the crowd, when Titus set somebody up in the corner and he went to the opposite corner, the crowd was ready to do that gator bark thing with him, man. Like they were into it. And when the Primetime Players came out, the crowd was dancing and hollering, and they were hot for it.
And that shirt, man, the Primetime Players, we saw it everywhere because of partially because it looked like the old Primetime Wrestling logo. But man, it was everywhere in New York. I swear.
Yeah, it was cool, man. So naturally, what did WWE do? They broke him up. And then they gave Darren Young a stupid gimmick where he was followed around by Bob Backlund.
Well, they were trying to make him great again.
Yeah. That's implying that he was great to begin with. Anyway, we're back to Jon Stewart in the backstage. He's with his son, who kind of looked like Nicholas, the former WWE Tag Team Champion. Man, another memory of live shows you and I have been to. But he's talking to Neville and Stephen Amell. Stewart is fanboying over Amell. When the lights drop, smoke billows in, and the Undertaker randomly walks by. The lights come back on. They stand around kind of awkwardly, and then Stewart asks Amell, he's like, "Can you sign my kid's shirt? You don't have to address it to him. Just sign your name." So that was funny. This whole segment was weird. It's I don't know, man. Looking at Pac or Neville or whatever you want to call him then was just
the bastard.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah, we'll allow it. I'll allow it.
It's a real name, by the way. I'm not just saying that. They really call him that. So.
Oh yeah, it's just he hadn't aged. I realize this was, quote unquote, only 5 years ago, but 5 years can play hell on somebody. He looks the same, just with a big beard.
I feel like he sounds a little more demented too.
Oh well, yeah. He got more into that character than here. Here he was supposed to be like a superhero. But we'll get into that when the match pops up. Next up, I forgot this was a freaking thing, but this just shows that Vince was trying to break up Lana and Rusev literally from go. It was Dolph Ziggler with Lana in his corner versus Rusev with Summer Rae in his corner. This went on for 11 minutes, 50 seconds.
Too long.
Lana is out of the business suits now and is wearing a jeans outfit. I forgot this is where she debuted it. But
she was more than okay with that.
Well, she was trying to do the 80s throwback stuff to keep up with Dolph Ziggler. Yeah. To end the match, Rusev locks Dolph in the Accolade while Summer Rae goes for Lana, but Lana slaps Summer Rae. Rusev breaks the hold and then goes outside to confront her and with Dolph, rather, and then Summer Rae takes out Lana with a tackle. Dolph super kicks the crap out of Rusev and both men are down and counted out. The crowd puked this finish up, and I forgot about it, maybe for good reason. Uncle Dave said, quote, "The match was okay before the finish. Rusev did some impressive stuff for his size." And he really did. Rusev is really good. He just never got, after his win streak ended, he didn't get much of a chance to shine after that. We both rated it, me and Uncle Dave, both rated it 2.5 stars average. What say you?
Oh, man, I hated this. I said 1 star.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought the match itself was okay. To your point, it might have been a little too long. The finish was booty. I don't know. I hated this whole feud. I don't understand what Vince's obsession was with, we have this hot act with Rusev and Lana. They're legitimately getting married. Let's break them up. I don't get it. Why? He saw dollar signs in Lana for obvious reasons, not in Rusev. I don't get it. And Rusev was a hot act with Lana, like I was talking about during that win streak. Why would you not see dollar signs in that?
Well, at the time of this recording, he's 2 weeks away from being free.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens after that. I don't know if he's going to go with his government name. I think it's Mirko or something like that.
Well, it depends on what TK wants.
What you honestly think he's going to AEW?
I think so. I think it makes sense.
I wouldn't hate it. I'll say that. I don't know. I don't know where he'd fit in AEW. Maybe he'll go to Impact, pal.
Why?
Well, that seems to be the rumor with a lot of former WWE guys. So, I don't know. Let's hope not for his sake. After the match, by the way, Rusev starts beating up on Dolph until the ladies get into a cat fight. Then all of a sudden the men are like, whoa, stop fighting. We got to break the women up. And then Rusev bails with Summer. So, whatever. I forgot that Summer Rae played a Lana clone during this also. Oi. Up next, man, this, speaking of oi, actually this wasn't bad. I'm exaggerating. It was Stephen Amell who played Arrow in the show Arrow, and his tag team partner Neville. They are taking on King Barrett and Stardust. This match went about 7.5 minutes. 50% of this match is currently in AEW. 25% of this match is doing commentary in NWA, And 25% of this match was actually made a special wrestling appearance at All In. And you said you never watched All In, so you didn't see that. I think Amel took on Christopher Daniels one-on-one, and they had a pretty good match. For those of you that don't remember, King Barrett, Wade Barrett, Bad News Barrett, whatever the hell.
All the above.
I just hated this, man, because like I felt that.
Okay, first of all, this is the red arrow and the green arrow. I mean, that's money right there.
Oh hell yeah! But think about 50% of this match is in AEW. Stardust, who is Cody, and Neville, who is Pac.
So 25% of this match is AEW,
basically, and Barrett is doing commentary in NWA. I felt like he was one of the biggest missed boats in all of WWE. Like, I don't understand why he wasn't. Like, he even got that stupid Bad News Barrett over. Like, he got it over. Crowd loved it. So let's kill him. Make him a king, god dang it. And right here, he's supposed to be like a comic book villain with Stardust, so he's the Cosmic King. It's just all kinds of stupid. Anyway, the actual match here. In the end, Stephen Amell does a dive to the outside on Barrett and Stardust. Neville then nails the red arrow on Barrett for the win. Uncle Dave said, quote, Neville was real good when he was in. Amell was a lot better than he had any business being. Match was about what you'd think it would be overall. He gave it 2 1/4 stars. I gave it an even 2. What say you?
I gave it 3 only because I thought Amell was so better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he was really good, and then
I had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this was one of the matches I was looking forward to. I kind of hated I thought the build-up was so silly. Whereas, like, Stardust is like, I'm a comic book villain. And it's like, God dang it. So,
I remember the Raw we were talking about, the one tribute for Piper. Seth Rollins, like, he's going to face somebody. He's got to be, like, 5 foot whatever, and, a couple 100 pounds or whatever. It made it sound like it was going to be Hornswoggle, and it ended up being Neville. And it turned out to be like one of the best matches ever. I don't know if you remember, real quick, we're in Target after this event. Like, right across the street. And some guys all talking, oh man, tonight was Seth Rollins' best match in WWE. I'm like, well, no, his best match was a couple weeks ago against Neville, because that match was amazing. But the reason I bring it up, it was the Piper tribute show. The reason I bring it up though is because I just laughed that Neville was in the world title match on Raw before this. All of a sudden he's in this tag match. That's by all rights a throwaway match. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but it's like, wow, within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a throwaway match. I would argue it was one of the marquee matches, because it's like, oh, we got Stephen Amell, and we've been building this up.
Okay, let's just ease up on the marquee and Stephen Amell, please. He's not that big of a star.
But. No, but I mean, Arrow was super hot at the time. One of the most watched shows on TV.
I don't think that's true. Maybe that, but I would not say the most watched on TV.
No, not on TV, but on that channel, it was very, very hot. It was a big moneymaker for them. And it was the crux of building the TV DC universe. And yeah, I mean, this led to Cody Rhodes actually being on Arrow as a character in a couple episodes. So my favorite thing Stardust ever did, I think, was the Raw right after David Bowie had died. He did the Bowie like lightning bolt face paint, like that. And it took me a second. I'm like, Ziggy Stardust, I got it. I don't know. All these guys in this match, besides Amell, I mean, Amell's good, but he's not a wrestler. But the 3 other guys, man, all 3 missed boats by WWE, I think. I thought they were kind of getting into something. Okay, but
let's be honest here. You can only say this about so many guys. I mean, there's clearly stuff that we don't know, like why they didn't work out. Yeah. I mean, easy to go off of, the crowd was hot, but we don't know what else was going on. So that's like, I don't like saying that so often.
Yeah.
Like, maybe Barrett just, I don't know, maybe didn't like anybody, or we don't know. I mean,
I think their thing with him was he got injured a handful of times, and they didn't trust him.
And yet Edge was always there, but
yeah, I know. It's double standards, but either way, I don't know.
I mean, you could say the same thing. I mean, that's that, but like, the misspoke about Neville, but like, AEW hasn't done anything with him either, so.
I mean, they've built him up in a few, quote unquote big matches, whatever.
I honestly haven't seen him this whole time. Is he stuck in England or something?
I think he's at home and he's not allowed to travel. because if he was here...
He's like the theme with a lot of British wrestlers right now.
Yeah, I know. Up next, we see a shot of the 4 Tough Enough finalists in the front row. One of them is married to Wesley Blake, and another one is Mandy Rose. The 2 guys went on to do zilch. So, I mean, the Sarah Lee or whatever her name was that married Wesley Blake, I mean, it's not like that's, look what I did,
You married the guy who stayed in NXT longer than anybody in history. Good for you.
You married not Murphy. Cool.
Not Murphy. What the hell?
Well, am I wrong? Well, first, I'm sorry. I take
it's just like, you say that when it's like 2 big names, like,
Murphy went on to do stuff, and he didn't. So, I mean, first he was not Murphy, and now
hold on. This is what I say about Private Party. They are not the Street Profits. I feel like that makes some sense. Like, not Murphy.
Hey, Murphy's on TV every week, so there's that. But up next, man, Ryback defending the Intercontinental title against The Big Show and The Miz. This was another one of the matches I forgot was even on the card.
If I remember correctly, this was a month delayed because something happened. Like, didn't someone get hurt or suspended or something? Or
if I know.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen the month before. I remember that for a fact. Because
so
I remember bitching about it. Oh, sorry, can I say? I remember complaining about it to you. Like, oh Lord, now we're gonna get saddled with this.
And we did. We did. It was 5 minutes. I'm gonna go back and look
because now I'm curious. But
yeah. It was 5 minutes, 22 seconds. The match ends when the Big Show hits a KO punch on The Miz, and Ryback, over the babyface, clotheslines the Big Show out of the ring and makes the cover on The Miz to retain the title. So he took the heel way out. Cool. I said, not that Ryback was great, but the Big Show really brought this match quality down. Uncle Dave had said, quote, the first time people expected a change, but after that didn't really happen. Match was nothing special. But it was really exactly what it should have been. He gave it 2 stars. I only gave it 1.5. What say you?
Solid 1.
Yeah, this match was booty. Blah. If you have to go back and watch one thing, this is not it.
I was like, if I'm going to give it 2 stars, it's because I love The Miz. And I can't give a star because I love someone, but that's it.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate Ryback, by the way.
No, I actually liked Ryback. I didn't at first because I felt like they made a Goldberg clone, but after a while he kind of came into his own. I hated the Ryback rules crap, like where he was a heel bully guy. That's just dumb. I'm still hoping for a comeback in the ring one day. I guess he said from everything from what I've heard, he said he's trying to get into the best shape of his life, like ring ready.
Okay, yeah, because he's out of shape, right?
Well, no, but I think he's off all the, extra stuff, so, and he's been a fitness fanatic forever. So I really would like to see him somewhere, not WWE. I don't know, with his personality.
I learned to stop saying never. So
no, I'm not saying never. With his personality, he just doesn't seem like he's very outspoken. He seems like he refuses to be quiet. And mind his own business. And yet he doesn't like CM Punk. I don't understand it. I feel like they're 2 peas in a pod. I did laugh when he called CM Punk a Karen.
He's got the hair. Come on.
Right. Good Lord. Jon Stewart's backstage knocking on Brock Lesnar's dressing room door. Paul Heyman comes out and tells Stewart it's not a good time. And he reminds Stewart of Brock breaking the Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania 30. Because he had to drive that home for like 3 years. Stewart says
it's only been 1, but...
Well, no, yeah, I know. So we got 2 more years to go. Stewart says
implying that he's done, but
yeah. Stewart says that no one remembers who broke Joe DiMaggio's streak. They just remember the streak. And he tells Heyman that Lesnar ending the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak for fans was like waking up to coal on Christmas morning. Heyman says, sings "Glory, Glory, Brock Lesnar" and walks off. This was, I will say this, as weird as this sounds coming out of my mouth. I thought Jon Stewart cut a hell of a promo on Paul. Well, am I wrong here?
No, but I think Jon Stewart's a fantastic speaker.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. It's just like, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't hate it. I'll say that. It was good stuff. Good crap, pal. Up next, we got Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. This match went just shy of 11 minutes. Uncle Dave called this, quote, the best match so far, but shorter than what you'd think. Again, half of these men...
I disagree with that best match so far, but...
Yeah, well, again, half of these men are now in AEW. One on each team. And this struck me while I was watching it, too. Luke Harper is the only man in this match that has never won a world title. Not at this point, I just mean, like, as of 2020. He's never won a world title. And Ambrose, Reigns, and Wyatt would also go on to hold multiple versions of world titles. Have you thought of that?
Not till now, but...
Yeah. Ambrose was WWE champ, and now he's AEW champ. Reigns and Wyatt would be both WWE and Universal champions. And Luke Harper was one time the Intercontinental champion. So there's that. Ugh. The match ends with Ambrose hitting dirty deeds on Wyatt, tagging in Reigns, and then Reigns hit a spear on Wyatt for the pin. Uncle Dave gave this 3.5 stars. He really liked it. I gave it 3. What say you?
I gave it 3 as well. But I still think I don't think it was the best match to this point.
What do you think was the tag match? I still think
that the other tag match, yeah, but damn good though.
It was really good. But what I feel was the best match of the night was up next. This was the match that I think you and I were the loudest for, at least that I can remember. It was Seth Rollins versus John Cena. It was WWE title versus a US title. I had to remind myself, it's like, oh wait, Seth is the WWE champ and Cena is the US champ. Like thinking about it's kind of weird.
Still weird looking back at it too.
I know. It went for just shy of 19.5 minutes. Seth Rollins' white Power Ranger looking ass gets cheered like a god by the Brooklyn crowd, by the way. Like, as soon as his music hits, they blow the roof off the arena. So that was cool. And the funny thing was, I just bought that shirt and was wearing it, the You Can't See Me shirt, and then you were wearing a John Cena shirt. And I think your profile picture for the longest time on social media was you during the show in the Cena gear, wasn't it?
It still is on Facebook, I believe.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, so you and I were heavily against each other here. The fans next to it, there was 2 dads with their kids next to us, and the dads were pulling for Cena, they were pulling for Rollins, and the kids were pulling for Cena. What was funny was they were betting each other throughout the whole show, with each match, and they were writing down who got the win. I thought that was funny. Yo, if I win at the end of the night, I get the most picks right. You give me your allowance this week, I
get an extra hour on Fortnite.
Yeah, wow. Seth Rollins was dressed like a white Power Ranger. You and I were both laughing at that. And was it Ramon that had texted you? It was like, oh, he looks like Tommy.
Yes.
That was funny. The match ends when the ref gets bumped before Cena hits the attitude adjustment on Rollins. And then Jon Stewart runs out with a chair. He teases like he's going to hit Seth, but he actually hits Cena in the gut and throws the chair down and leaves, letting Rollins hit the pedigree on the chair for the win. Uncle Dave called this an absolutely incredible match with a finish that will garner a ton of publicity. He gave it 4.5 stars. I actually gave this match 5 stars. I loved it so much. What do you say?
I was on the fence, so I was like, I'm going to go 4. I don't like handing out 5s unless it's classic. And this was damn near a classic, but I mean, in hindsight, Cena would have an even better match, if possible, a year later.
With AJ?
Yeah. But
yeah,
it's man, this match was so damn good, though. Like I said, I don't like just giving out 5s personally. But
yeah. Well, this one, I enjoyed it so much. I could watch it on repeat. I thought they had great chemistry together. I thought Rollins was at his peak right here. I mean, he's still doing great work. I'm not saying that, but 2015 was he was so damn good. He did injure 2 people this year pretty severely, but next up, man, was not good. Well, it's not to me. It was Team Bella, which was Nikki and Brie Bella and Alicia Fox. They took on the newly named Team PCB, which was Paige, Charlotte, and Becky.
That's real original, by the way.
Yeah, and they didn't even freaking try with that one. I'm like, blah. And then they took the third team was Team Bad, Beautiful and Dangerous. It was Tamina Snuka, Naomi, and Sasha Banks. There for a minute, I forgot this even existed, any of these teams.
Well, because Sasha had a 5-star match the night before and is all of a sudden doing this.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, what a difference 24 hours.
See, that's also why I didn't give that last match 5 stars. I'm like, wow, I already saw a 5-star match. I just, the night before, so.
Well, this was a 3-team elimination match, which dragged it out longer.
Which is great, because, I was going to say, because we needed more of this match.
Right. Went for 15 minutes, 16 seconds. It's weird seeing Eden Styles, a.k.a. Brandy Rhodes, as the ring announcer for this match. Wouldn't you agree?
A little bit.
Because I was like, oh, crap, Brandy, and it said Eden Styles. And I was like, oh, my gosh. Team Bad is eliminated first when Brie hits a facebuster off the middle rope onto Tamina for the pin. Even back then, man, Tamina taking them losses. The final pin happens when Becky hits a pump handle Uranagi on Brie for the pin and the win. Uncle Dave said this was, quote, not like some of the NXT matches, but well above the usual WWE women's match. I agreed because it didn't suck. I will say that. And at this time, a lot of women's matches in WWE pretty much sucked. Uncle Dave freaking gave it 3 effing stars. I gave it 2.5 for average. What do you give it?
Okay, I was tempted to give it 1, but watching it back, I was like, it wasn't so bad.
I didn't think it was a bad match.
I couldn't see who the winner was going to be, so I was like, okay, points for that. It wasn't predictable, so
right.
I gave it 2.
Yeah, I thought it was decent. I thought this would have been better on Raw. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the next night on Raw they had a big women's match and that went on forever, and the crowd just did the wave and completely ignored them?
Yep.
Yeah. So
it seemed to be a theme with women's matches on Raw that year.
Divas Revolution though, Greg.
Well, the night after WrestleMania 31 in San Jose, there was like 8-woman tag or something, and I feel like almost every woman in that match was like dating someone on the roster. So like when Nikki got in, they were saying "You suck, Cena," and I think when Naomi got in, they were saying "You suck, Uso" and stuff like that. So yeah,
classy.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
I'm so glad I can say most of them did not live in my area. They're at WrestleMania. They made that clear when they were promoting the show I went to when they did Piper's memorial.
Yeah,
they advertised tickets for that show that night, and the crowd started chanting, "We don't live here." So I'm like, cool.
Wow.
I can easily say none of this trash I was saying all that crap lived here. So bye.
Good to know. Well, up next this was kind of the death spot, which is sad because I thought this match was really good. It was Kevin Owens versus Cesaro. It went for 14 minutes, 17 seconds. Again, Kevin Owens just had an amazing ladder match the night before at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Owens wins what was, in my opinion, a fantastic match with a pop-up powerbomb. Uncle Dave said, quote, "It was a tough spot on the card for anyone, and they did as well in that spot as anyone was going to tonight." He gave it 3 3/4 stars. I give it 4 to 4.5 stars. What do you say?
I love this match. I give it a 4. I thought it was fantastic. And I'm sorry, I hate that excuse. I get it, but I hate when people, they were in a bad spot. Well, then, do something to make people care still. I hate that excuse. I will never get behind it, ever.
Well, the reason I get behind it is they did try. I thought they put out a hell of an effort. The crowd was only mildly into it.
Okay, but here's my thing. The next year, I was at the same event. Cena and AJ had that maybe 6-star match, and Balor and Rollins followed it, and it was still hot. So again, that's why I can't buy into that much. I'm like, do something to keep them into it, and
I thought they did. This show was long. The thing is, they were sandwiched between the Divas match and Lesnar Taker.
Right. And here's my thing about that. Had they followed Cena and Rollins right away, okay, maybe I get some leeway. But their following, in my opinion, was close to a dud. So
yeah.
We'll return after these messages. Now, back to our program.
But this was the main event of the show, man. It was Brock Lesnar taking on The Undertaker, who, 18 months after his streak was ended, now he's looking for revenge.
Yeah.
This match went on for 17 minutes, 9 seconds. I couldn't see this sitting in the crowd that night, but when they put the camera on him here and I'm watching it, Taker was sucking wind like halfway through this match. Did you notice that?
I did. And one thing I wanted to point out too. Well, go ahead. No, we'll get to the end. It's later, so I don't want to.
Okay. Lesnar jumps the Undertaker before Taker even gets his coat off. At one point, Taker goes for the last ride through the announce table, but Lesnar gets out of it and goes puts him through the table of the F5. Lesnar has been busted open somehow at this point. Did you see how he got busted open?
I don't remember how exactly.
Yeah, because
this match was kind of like go from the beginning. So
yeah, well, because the first time I saw the blood was right after the F5, and then he gets back in the ring, and I'm like, whoa, he's bleeding. Like, why? But Lesnar pops right up after a choke slam, and then kicks out at 2 after a tombstone. He right at 2. It's like 1, 2 kick out. This is where they both do that sit up spot where Lesnar sits up, starts laughing, then Taker sits up and is like ha ha ha, and then punches him in the face. Lesnar tries to lock in the Kimura in the corner, but Taker breaks it and turns it into a last ride, which Lesnar kicks out of. Taker is able to kick out of an F5, which shocked the crap out of me. And then he kicks out of another F5, which when he hit that F5, I probably said it out loud in the crowd. I was like, that's it. He's done. Lesnar wins again. But Taker kicked out, and he locked in Hell's Gate on Lesnar. Lesnar reversed it into a Kimura, which you say is the ugliest Kimura in all of anything. Taker turned that into a pin, but Lesnar kicked out at 2, and then the timekeeper rings the bell randomly. And referee Charles Robinson tells the timekeeper off, and he says, I tell you when to ring the bell. The match is still going on. And then behind the referee's back, Undertaker crawls up and low blows Lesnar, then locks in Hell's Gate again. Then Lesnar passes out while flipping the Undertaker the bird. Uncle Dave called this, quote, a really good physical match, and, quote, for the most part, the crowd cheered both guys. Me and Uncle Dave both gave it 4 stars. What say you?
Same, 4.
Great stuff.
I loved the whole thing with the bell and not sure what was going on. I loved that. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah,
at
you
the
and
time, I was
like,
confused as hell.
Yeah.
Well, looking back at it, I'm like, wow, that was brilliant.
It wasn't until the show was over and we got to sit there for a couple seconds and think it over. We were like, okay, now it's sunk in what happened.
Yeah, so for those who didn't see it, I guess the timekeeper saw the Undertaker tapping out, which he did. It's clear as day.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to point out, though, I don't know if you remember, because nowadays Brock is kind of booed heavily. Do you remember the Undertaker was literally crawling out of the arena, and he collapses right at the entrance, right at the beginning of the entrance, and the crowd blows up when he collapses.
Wow. No, I don't remember that one.
I was I'm still shocked. I'm like, wow. I mean, that's first of all, it's the Undertaker. Second, if they're laughing and cheering that means they're pro Brock. And I felt like it was more pro Brock that night than anything.
Yeah, it was a weird time in WWE with fans. After the match, I said Undertaker stumbled to the back. They showed some of it. They didn't show him collapsing. Heyman goes absolutely nuts, ringing the bell repeatedly. Then he grabs the mic and says, no, 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 no. Then he says, everybody saw what he saw, and the winner is Brock Lesnar. And that is, I believe, because what was the finish at SummerSlam 2014? Do you remember?
That was Brock and Cena, right?
Oh, was it? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
So the year before, Lesnar destroys Cena in a glorified squash match to close the show. This one was a screwed finish with Brock and Taker. And the next year, wasn't it Brock and Orton?
Mm-hmm.
Where Brock busted the crap out of Orton hard way. They split him like a melon. And then, the match just, felt so flat to me. It is just, an ongoing theme of, weird finishes. What about 2017? Didn't something weird happen there, too?
I wasn't at 17.
Yeah.
I went to Disneyland instead.
Not a bad alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because I cannot remember. Oh, I don't
remember that one, but I do remember 18 that, I think it was AJ and Joe ended in a double DQ. I think this so.
This was the fatal 4-way between Lesnar, Strowman, Reigns, and Joe.
Brock just won that one. I remember that.
Yeah, that one wasn't a screwed finish. It was just kind of meh. He's he came in, whooped ass, and left. Didn't Joe take the pin, too?
I don't remember that specifically.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I'm not as quick with recent stuff.
Yeah. More of the old stuff.
Yeah.
We'll return after these messages. Now, back to our program.
But yeah, so that was SummerSlam 2015. The final ratings. First with the number ratings here. Pro Wrestling Torch gave it a 6.5 out of 10, which I was shocked. Internet Movie Database gave it a 7.2 out of 10. CageMatch.net gave it 7.48. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
I think I'm right there with you. I think I gave it a B+. If I was like to grade on like the average matches I gave, I'd probably give it a C-, but I thought it was a fun show despite some bad matches. I think it's very watchable.
Yeah. I don't think there were that many bad matches. There were a couple that was like, why is it here? On this show.
The triple threat being the biggest one.
Gosh, yeah.
A 5-minute triple threat intercontinental title match. I mean, I know I just said a mouthful, but
this is a big show.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah. And the Big Show had, not so terrible matches in his career, but this one was not one of them. He really sucked in this one. He was, you want to call him the Big Slow. Like, dang. The Wrestling Observer reader poll, they gave it thumbs in the middle, because there's thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. They said it was middle of the way. They said the best match on the card was Undertaker versus Lesnar, with the caveat until the ending. Apparently the readers didn't like the ending for some reason.
Oh, that's nice to know that dumbass Uncle Dave's kids will let a ending overshadow a match. That's good to know.
Yeah. Worst match, they said by far on the card, was Miz, Big Show, and Ryback.
I'm not going to argue that, I guess. Okay.
Now the staff poll for Wrestling Observer.
Oh man, the poll.
They said it was a thumbs up show. They said the best match on the card was Cena versus Rollins, which I would agree. And they said the worst match was Ryback, Big Show, and Miz. So that one was unanimous. I say it's thumbs up. Big time. I mean, it wasn't a perfect show, but it was damn good.
I try to take out our biases too, but I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, watching it back, I was very entertained. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it dragged at all, except for that triple threat, but, whatever. The post-show fallout real quick was at the Raw after SummerSlam. Sting returned to destroy Seth Rollins' brand new bronze statue by throwing it in the back of a garbage truck. Or was that the week after?
No, I does it after, yeah.
Okay, no, this was the week that they were going to unveil his bronze statue, and when they pull the curtain up, Sting is there in its place, and everybody freaks out.
Us included.
Yes, and I wore I don't know if you remember, I wore my Sting t-shirt there, hoping that would bring some good luck and Sting would be there. And
I do remember.
God, because I wore my Kevin Owens shirt to NXT, Seth Rollins shirt to SummerSlam, and then my Sting shirt to Raw, and I freaked out about that. I was like, yes, Sting is here! Because I'd never seen Sting, so that was another bucket list item. I don't know if you remember, Braun Strowman debuted at that Raw as the fourth member of the Wyatt family.
We were part of the "Who are you" chant.
Yes, yeah, because you and I were both sitting there trying to figure it out. I went to the bathroom afterwards after that segment, and people were like, "It's Mike Knox. Of course, it's Mike Knox. Look at him." And I'm like, hey,
"That's what I said when we first saw him on the Tron." If you remember,
yeah, you and I were both like, "Mike Knox," but he was way too big for Mike Knox, and he was in his pee-pee pants. So
wow. Pee-pee Pants City.
Yeah, he was about to. While Brock had Suplex City on lock, he had PP Pants City down pat. But yeah, that was the debut of Braun Strowman. Also, a return to the WWE. This is the biggest one in my opinion. The Dudley Boys made their WWE return. They interrupted the New Day's victory celebration after beating the Lucha Dragons.
I think I hit my head on the roof of Barclays, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I've never seen you freak out quite like that. Because you and I were both sitting there and like pyro went off during the New Day's celebration.
They didn't even do the missile sound. It was pyro. That was it.
Yeah.
It exploded. Yeah,
because you and I were both like, so the New Day gets pyro for a celebration, but the New Day freaked out with the pyro. So we were like...
Which I didn't notice because when I saw the pyro, I was immediately looking at the stage. So I didn't see them freak out until after I rewatched it.
Yeah. And then I was like, so they get pyro now? And then all of a sudden, like, the screen lights up with the Dudley Boy Tron, and they start playing the theme, and you and I were both like, oh my gosh! And like, we were just like stomping and freaking out. And you and I were both like, greatest weekend ever!
Yeah, that was a hell of a way to end it too.
Hell yeah. I mean, and I'm not gonna let it get overshadowed by the fact that they did absolutely bupkis that whole year in WWE. but it was great to be there when they made their return. So that was great. That about wraps it up for SummerSlam 2015. All in all, I thought it was a great show, and I'm glad we got to cover it finally. Like I said, I haven't watched it back since we got home. So next week, we're going to cover something not so good, but I want to cover it because it's historic, because it's the last time WCW was in Sturgis. It's Road Wild 1999. We got to talk about it a little bit a few weeks ago in the archives when we talked about ECW's ECW's Heatwave 1999. We talked about where WCW was at the time, overspending, going down the tubes. They were circling the drain here for Road Wild 99.
Well, spoiler, more racism will be involved because, bikers.
Well, yeah, and Harlem Heat's on the card, so yeah. And hey, if you want to know the quality of the show, the opening match involves the ICP and Vampiro. So
yeah, you want to talk about a hot shot out of the gate,
right? Bring them in, pal.
Asses on bikes.
What the hell? That's a shirt.
Wasn't that like how they watched the show? They were all sitting on the bikes, right?
Yeah. And then if they really, instead of cheering and clapping, they would rev the motorcycles. That was something. Hey, tree huggers would have hated that because carbon emissions, pal.
Wow.
August 19th, we're going to go back to another SummerSlam. This one is from the Attitude Era. It is SummerSlam 1998. It is in Madison Square Garden. It's got, if I remember correctly, was this the one where they walked out through like cemetery gates?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one. I love that set.
You don't get too many, not to spoil anything, you don't get too many 5-star matches in the Attitude Era. There's one here. So.
Well, I'm excited because I haven't looked over the entire card yet. I just know Stone Cold versus Undertaker closed the show. I've seen it back, that match at least. Look, Undertaker and Stone Cold, they drew people in, but once they actually got in the ring, I don't know what it was, man. To me, they never really had amazing matches together.
I can't think of any amazing ones off the top of my head, so.
Yeah, they didn't suck. They just weren't. Even Austin said, he was like, yeah, we never really clicked, but they drew money together, so whatever. And then
you don't need a click.
Yeah, right. And then to close out the month, we're going to the Land of Extreme, also from the Attitude Era, but this is ECW, so you know what I mean. But it was ECW's Born to be Wired 1997. That one may be on the same level as Road Wild of meh. So there's that. That'll close out August, man. We've got an exciting September for you. I will have more information for you as we get deeper into the month of August. But we are here. We are quickly approaching SummerSlam 2020, which, do you know the exact date of that one?
The 24th or 6th. It's really late.
Yeah, it's coming late in the year. It's the 23rd.
Yeah, okay.
August 23rd, 2020. It will be it's originally going to be at the TD Gardens in Boston, like we talked about. Unfortunately, it's going to be at the PC again. Yay. So somebody said it's like, I hope they at least put a damn kiddie pool on the stage or something. Like, dress it up for us. Hell,
I'm fine without that, but whatever.
Dude, put some fake palm trees or, something, a little kiddie pool. And do what AEW did for Fyter Fest. It's not like McMahon doesn't have the money. Pay some beautiful women to stand around in bikinis just as set pieces for a couple hours. Like, whatever. Anyway, that wraps it up for us. Thanks for joining me again, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see you next week where we go to Sturgis for Road Wild 99.